Welcome to Ali of Dags. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Konstantinos. Welcome to round 16. But before that, let's see how we did on round 15. We we had a couple of very exciting results in terms of fantasy. I mean, the highlight for me was Evans with 42.9 fantasy points with a bonus. You see that Zalgiris has won against Bayer, and Evans had put on a clinic. I think it was around somewhere at the start of the second quarter, so around 13 minutes into the game, and he already had 17 points. He ended the half with 21 points and ended the game with 32 points from 6 out of 6, two field goals, 5 out of 9 3-pointers, and he had 4 rebounds, he had 4 assists, 2 steals. So he did pretty much everything like he does this year. I mean, we talked many times about him.
He was all over the place versus Bayern, to be honest. Yeah. And as you said, this year, only one game with singular fantasy points, just three versus FS. Other than that, he's always on double digit fantasy points. I mean, it's his breakout season for him. And I think Mike James said that before the beginning of the season that this is the year Keenan Evans will do amazing things, and that's what Keenan Evans is doing.
Yeah, exactly. And we actually talked about this on our previous video. We said how Evans had only one game with single digits, and but this time he did. I think that's his new record, and he scored the 32 points just in 30 in terms of fantasy, and he scored the 32 points in just 31 minutes of play. So great game there. And then in terms of other successful point guards from our side, it was Misic with 26.4 fantasy points. He really took over the game from the start. So already from the first half, he was everywhere, making a big impact. He finished with 19 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, and that was the FS winning rather easy versus Panathinaikos. Also, Clyburn had a good game that we hesitated, to after the -6 that he had the round before, but he came back strong, and actually he had a very good game also versus Fener in the Turkish basketball league. Now into the forwards, we had Musa, that he is consistent this year, in this also we would say breakout, but it's his first year pretty much. But he has a big role in the team, and that game versus Asvel was easier, so he didn't have to play his usual minutes. So he only played 22 minutes, but still he scored 15 points, grabbed some rebounds, couple of assists, only one turnover, and he gave 20.9 fantasy points.
And we're
On
talking about the previous Asabe MVP of the season, but still a rookie, as you said, for EuroLeague. But still, he's playing very mature for Real Madrid, despite the fact that Gabriel Deck was back as well, and they also Real Madrid acquired Mario Hezonja this summer. Still, with Musa, still Musa is the one that stands out. I mean, Gabriel Deck, of course, what a season so far for Gabriel Deck on his season back from the NBA, full season, I mean. But still, Musa is the one that, between Hezonja, who was a big name, the big acquisition for Real Madrid, but Musa is the one that is showing with his gameplay that he's very mature and ready for that level.
Yeah, he can actually be the ball handler in many occasions, although he's not the main point guard, right? Um, and I think we didn't mention also Yabusele. So even if Hezonja wanted to play more with Yabusele, maybe they would have to bring one of them on the position 3 on the small forwards, so it would be more difficult for Musa to get the minutes, but he does get them, and he's one of the main reasons why Real is doing that well this year.
Mhm. That's true.
Now, on the other side of this game as well, we have Noah. That he managed to score 17 points and 7 rebounds. So he was the bright spot in this bad day for us well. And he managed to give back 20 fantasy points. And I think if I remember well, he was on the deep value, just 6.6 credits. So very, very nice pick after his buzzer beater that we have saw in our previous videos. So then on forwards, we also had Sedekerskis. As you can see, Baskonia has won versus Bologna in Spain. Um, you know, he had 12 points and 4 rebounds in just 20 minutes, so 18.7 fantasy points. Um, and I think they won a little bit easier than the score says. Now, at least they seem like they win a little bit easier, but then the second half was a little bit different.
I mean, with Baskonia, that's the thing. With Baskonia at home court, they score more than 80 points most of the times. So they are like almost kind of unstoppable offensively when they're playing under home court.
I think it's one of the most exciting teams to watch. I really enjoy watching Baskonia. I think Penarroya is doing a great job there.
I agree
Um,
with
a
both.
really nice project, yeah.
Yep.
Because if we think about it, he is not stuck with stars. I mean, you could say that Henry could be potentially a star, or Thompson and Howard are stars in the making. But apart from there, you don't have like the classic stars in the team. It's more of a big unit.
That yeah, because Thompson and uh sorry, you mentioned Thompson and
Henry,
no
yeah,
no no not
Ferran,
Henry. Thompson and
Howard,
Howard.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Both are rookies for EuroLeague, but when Howard is on fire, he's on fire. Personally, I told you in our discussions, it reminds me a bit of Shane Larkin when he came again to Basconia. That was his team in Europe.
Yeah.
And Thompson, since last year in Eurocup, he was with Lokomotiv. He was, I mean, even I think he showed that he has the elements to work on, and Penaroli is just doing this. He is working with Thompson and let him be this key player for Basconia this season. Of course, Henry is Henry. I mean, pure class.
13 assists. So he had 13 assists on that game. Sedekerskis didn't miss a shot, and Marinkovic scored 20 points. Um, so yeah, very all around, really nice team to watch, especially when they play in Spain, as you said. Another forward that did well was again on as a Zalgiris game, Ulanovas. I mean, we said Evans is the number one player. He's commanding everything, especially scoring wise. But apart from that, you need someone to take over when he goes to the bench, and that's usually Ulanovas. He had 18 points, 7 rebounds, just 17.6 points returning that win versus Bayern. So a solid performance again from him. And on the center side of things, Davis, another good game. 14 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists versus Monaco in the win there. And well, that win came quite crazy, but with a big comeback in the end, they managed to cover a huge deficit and take that win. So 2 consecutive EuroLeague wins for um, for
Armani.
Armani Milano.
We have to give credit to we have to give credit for this comeback to Billy Brown.
He was unstoppable. Yeah.
Yeah. So he showed that, the Billy Baron we knew from Crvena Zvezda, and then we saw in Zenit. So he showed his class basically and led the team to the victory.
He's scoring this year with 50% on three-pointer on both the national and the EuroLeague competition. So yeah, we know Armani was not doing very well, but he seems that he's finding that extra power to be, the leader, and hopefully stays that way. So good news there for Milano. And then finally, I think that's a mid-market one. We had Petrusev with 8.6 credits back then playing against Olympiacos, and he returned 22 fantasy points. He scored 14 points. Uh, if I'm right, let me just check that. I think I'm actually mess my notes here. So Petrusev, yeah, he had 14 points. That's true, and 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and he had 4 blocks versus Olympiacos. So great game, and they managed to get the away win
Big
in
victory. Big victory for
big victory in Greece.
Crvena Zvezda.
And actually, that leads me to our coaches. We had 5 suggestions, and actually four of them won, and with big scores. So we had Matteo, Ataman, and Penaroya winning all of them, giving back with more than 10 points. So giving back 20 fantasy points, and we had Max Vitis, 10 points, and then we only missed Barzokas that they lost at home, as we just said. So with that, I think we can go on to round 16 and to our new suggestions for the round, Konstantinos.
Yes. So let's start with the coaches as we finish the results. So from the coaches, from the top tier market, um, we suggest Dimitris Itoudis from Fenerbahce. Um, they are playing, if you see, they had 3 games versus Olympiacos versus at home versus Olympiacos away, Baskonia home, Partizan at home, but they didn't quite get the results they wanted. So they are coming from 3 defeats, and we know that Fenerbahce needs to make a victory and get back to the winning days. And we believe that Dimitris Tudis will make sure that Fenerbahce is the winning team this
And
round.
I think they have also people returning, especially Motley. That will be a big return in this round.
Mhm.
We have also the,
Pierre is
we
back
have
as well.
Pierre as well. That he had very good game, and he had good game in the Turkish league as well and Euroleague.
Yeah,
So Wilbekin
he's back.
probably
Hmm.
is back. So actually, I think they're getting back into their form slowly.
Hmm.
They had this slump with these three games as you described, but they got a big win in the Turkish league, and this kind of wins are usually um,
He's a
game
boost.
changers.
Yeah,
They give
yeah.
you a psychological boost. So with that in mind, yeah, we think it this can continue versus a difficult,
It,
defensive-minded team.
yes, I mean Virtus is and Scariolo. He can draw such a nice defensive schemes and systems on his playbook for Virtus, but knowing Itudis as a coach and knowing Fenerbahce and their roster, they need the wake up win. And it's better to do it now, versus a very good defensive team.
Hmm. Yeah, you need to have a good New Year's, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Then from the mid market, then um, we suggest from Monaco, Sasa Obradovic with I forgot to say Dimitris to this is 9.1 credits. That's his value for the moment. And Sasa Obradovic now from mid market is 7.3. He's coming from a defeat versus Armani away, the one that Bill mentioned. It was a big comeback victory for Messina and Armani. But if you see Monaco at home, they lost from Barcelona. It was a close game, but and Fenerbahce in round 9. But other than that, they are able to manage a victory at home.
Mhm.
So and also Zalgiris is a very good group, but Monaco has the talent. They have Mike James, who is a top scorer. They have um, Elio Kobo at guard again. So they have the players to win the game at home. Also, let me say at this point, there are some rumors. For the moment, we don't know. There are just rumors now that maybe Tyler Dorsey will head back to Europe and Euroleague after his tenure with Dallas Mavericks in the G League. And Monaco is one of the teams that they made an offer. So we're just waiting and see what other
So
teams
I
will
think I think
offer.
I think the team denied that, actually, that news. I'm not sure whether it's verified or not, but definitely many teams around Europe are actually, I think, actively talking with Dorsey and his agents. Yeah, so there are rumors around many teams,
Mhm,
actually,
mhm.
not just Monaco.
No, no, no. There are
Yeah.
plenty of teams. For example, Fenerbahce and Olympiacos again. His former team, Dorsey's former team, are also interested. But let's see how it goes for the teams. But for this round, we suggest Sasa Brozovic with 7.3 credits from Monaco versus Algiers. Then we go to the deep value market. That's below 7 credits, and we suggest Jelko Brozovic now with 6 credits. Partizan is playing at home versus Bayern. If you see, they played versus FS and versus Fenerbahce in Turkey, and they managed to get two big victories versus two top tier clubs.
Yeah.
If from coaching, from the roster, I mean, both teams are, you know, two of the best teams in EuroLeague this season, and Partizan managed to win both games. Of course, Zeljko Bradovic is the best coach, maybe in EuroLeague. So
What do you mean, currently, or because that would change completely the conversation?
no, no, currently, I don't know. Currently, we have to see. But if you see his trophies and his achievements, I mean, Zeljko is
So he's the most decorated.
yes
Yeah,
coach in
that's
Europe.
correct. Yeah.
Uh, Um, but it will be nice for them to, it would be nice for Partizan to have straight wins. In a way, like Crvena Zvezda, it created their own strike with like 6 wins, and they lost from Armani, but then they're back on the winning days. So why not? And they're playing at their home court, and we all know the atmosphere that the fans are creating in Partizan Stadium in Stark Arena is amazing.
I really want to drift away, and like I want to ask, give
Yeah.
us guys your comments. Do you think Zelimir Obradovic is currently the best coach, or what's your opinion around it? I just looking at the roster, I think, I feel like they don't have enough players. It's a very light roster. It's not too deep, not deep enough. I feel like, it's not a deep roster in my opinion. But yeah, that's a completely different conversation. But I think it would be a nice topic. Um,
That,
yeah,
that's a, that's a big discussion now because if we go back in the days, now I'm going back many many years. If you
Yeah, because
remember, if
especially
you remember,
mm,
Jeliko Bravic went to Final Four in Turkey with Panathinaikos, having Diamandidis, Batiste, Saras. I mean, Saras was like 35 years old. I don't remember exactly, and also David Logan at guard, and they lost versus Jessica in the semifinal.
mhm,
So I don't know if Jelko needs to have a deep team to make a good run, but I know he gives credit to the team only by being the coach of the team. You know,
yeah,
when I say credit, it gives, he's a mind master. He knows how to win games. He knows how to get the player.
definitely in his career and his experience, there is not even a doubt.
I mean,
I
I
was
mean,
just I was just looking at the case for this year,
oh yeah,
because you have all the OGs, if we could call them like that, like Zelimir, Bradovic, Messina, Scariolo, but then you have also these new great coaches like Penaroya. Also,
to,
Katas, I think, is doing quite well when he plays at home, especially. Um,
that's true.
so it would be a tough conversation. Even Sasa Bradovic, maybe he's very good. Why? Because he can control his the big names in the team.
Yeah, he can control the locker room basically, so that's a big plus.
Yeah, I think there are many arguments for every single coach. So uh,
To me, from the names that you mentioned, to be honest, I think
Max Vitis is doing a very good year as well.
true. If we had, how can I call it, like a rising coach award, like we have the rising player of
That's
Euroleague,
easy. That's easy.
who? I mean,
Penarol,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah, there is no doubt. There is no doubt.
to me, it's Penarroya, yeah, hands down. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, I mean, what and all he is the one because of the basket we see, the way they play is, as you said, very exciting. You
Yeah,
just want to turn on the TV and just like, hey, watch Basconia play. They're so exciting, Tim.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, sorry, I drifted us off away from
Yeah.
from our
So back to the coaching
suggestions.
suggestion. So from
The
the deep value is,
second value then.
yeah, and the second deep value after Zeljko Brozovic is another legend, coaching legend. I mean, is Ettore Messina from Armani Milan. So they did not have the best, up to round 13, they did not have the best season in EuroLeague so far for Armani. Things did not go well so far. They lost Shields beginning of the season as well with an injury, and maybe he's back in 2023, uh, beginning of 2023. But then if we see around 14 and 15, they managed to get two W's versus Crvena Zvezda away, which is a big away win. And as Bill said, this gave the psychological boost to the team. So at home, they made the comeback versus Monaco.
Yeah,
So,
finally the win at home.
yes, finally a win at home.
Yeah,
So now they have versus Valencia game again at home. So it's a good opportunity for Armani to start building a winning strike and just meet the expectations that we all had from Armani, let's say, because even Ergin Ataman said that this year's final will be Anadolu Efes versus Armani Milan. That's what his prediction was. But so far Armani Milan doesn't meet the expectations. But it's a good way, to keep winning, and they can build, if they get W and W after W, then can build something good and steady. So Messina with 5.9 credits is our second deep value choice for coach for round 16.
nice. So with that, then we can move on to the players, and I will start with the centers. And let's see. So this week we will start with for one more time Lesort, 15.5 credits. Let me just press the average here numbers so it's easier to see. So as you can see, 12.7 points, 7.5 rebounds. We've talked many times about him. So the game versus Bayern should, probably be a game for him to come back into its usual form, because if we see what recently is doing, he had two games um, that for his form before seem a little bit mediocre. So 15, 16.5 with a bonus win, and 13, 14.3 with a bonus win versus FS and Fener, just 12 and 30 points. So hopefully this is the time for Lesor to explode again. Then, since I'm saying explode, say before his injury, we used to talk about the Motley motor because he was that good for Fener, and he's back. So we're gonna take this a little bit blindly because we are biased and we really, really like Motley. So we're gonna go with Motley as our second choice for the top rank with 14 credits. So you see, there is a small discount since he was out. His value was reducing, and hopefully, he gets something close to his average. As you can see, his average here is a full stat line. Um, so another player on this value that also hasn't played quite greatly recently is, in terms of fantasy at least, is Mustafa Fall. You can see the last two games he had just 10 and 8 fantasy points. Um, but traditionally he plays very good games versus Panathinaikos centers. So if Vezenkov is not in Olympiacos roster for the games for Friday for Friday's games, then we think he's gonna play a bigger role for the team and probably is gonna have a good game. Finally, we have Brandon Davis. We couldn't forget Brandon Davis because he is one of the reasons we said the other one was Baron Davis, why Armando Milano is back on. Well, he's not yet back on track, but it seems like he's going back on track, right? So he has 33 fantasy points and 19.8 fantasy points. Um, he does a little bit of everything when he's on the floor, and he definitely gets some. As you can see here, he gets more than 30 minutes, and he actually gets the foul. So 5 fouls suffered versus Monaco, 10 fouls suffered versus Cervena Zvezda, and that's a plus on fantasy. You get a point for that, and then if it's free throws, hey, you have another chance for some more fantasy points. So that's our last. I think it's one of the few times we gave so many top ranked players in the center position. So I'm gonna move to mid market. So anything below the 11 credits, and here we have Rivero. He's getting onto form, as you can see here. He has some double digits game, closer to 20 actually. He's scoring, um, as you can see, 16, 9, 16, 7, 22. Um, Before that, he was recovering from his injury. So as you can see, he played the first two and he was instrumental in these games. Then he had his injury and then a bumpy start, and now it seems like he's getting back to form. With Armani, they will need him also now. We don't know if he will have foul trouble, but definitely he will have to face Davis. Now, if he's um, again very effective up front, he should be able to get some points, some fantasy points. Um, then the other player, another player on these valuations here is Mota Yunus. He's been really fair in his fantasy production because, as you can see, he from round 10 onwards, he had 2 games with 7.7, and then everything is double digits. Before that, also there are some double digits there. So he consistently gives some points, and it will depend on the day, on what day he is, but probably versus Algiris is a good matchup for him. And last game he had 24 minutes playing time. If he has the same time on the court, he should be able to be productive.
He's
Uh,
very consistent this season for Monaco. Monaco Yunus.
yeah,
He's having a very very mature season, and he's helping Monaco. He's giving the boost that Monaco needs in the paint.
exactly. Um, Now, I think we do have Petrusev. I'm just trying to find him here. Um,
Yeah,
where is it?
he's
There it
yeah,
is.
over there.
I think my mistake. I haven't sorted. Now everything is sorted, so easier to find. So I was going a little bit blindly earlier. So here's Petrusev then. We talked about his good game that he has on the last round, and he's finding his role in the team. You can see the 20 and 11 rebounds that he had on the versus Armani. Versus Olympiacos also a good game. We talked about the 4 blocks, so um, there is a chance that he can continue that. So we're betting on the form here versus Barca. Also, probably we don't know. Sanli, I think he's probably missing the game as well.
Mhm.
So maybe less centers to play against him. Finally, now on the deep value market, so anything below 8 credits, we do have. Actually, I will have to go a little bit lower than that. Below 7, we do have Tyus. Um, he had a good game versus Real Madrid. 14 points, 17 fantasy points. Now the question is he going to get 27 minutes playing time? I'm not sure, but if he does, he should be able to be effective versus Berlin centers front line. Then finally, we're going with just 5.9 credits with Bayrutis for Zalgiris. As you can see, this is more of low credit situation. So if you are in one of the situations with less than 6 credits, so Bayrutis is probably, in our opinion, a good solution. As you can see, he had around 6.5 credits, so the value has dropped and it can be selected. It's not so productive, but he's not given any minus, and he's always giving something back when he plays. So versus Monaco, maybe is a chance if you don't have other credits to get something quite cheap.
Yeah, to fill your team. I mean,
Yeah, like
I mean,
Pradilla, I think we used to give Pradilla the previous 2 rounds. That could also be another option, right? Yeah,
yeah, with 4.9 credits, I think.
yeah, yeah. But he
Uh,
just had 5 minutes though on the previous game. Sorry,
True.
just want
No,
to
no,
say
no.
that.
Yeah, and he didn't play on the on Asabe or
Yeah,
with Valencia, so we don't know if there is anything.
exactly. So that's why Beirut is there.
Yeah, that's true. So with this from the center position, let's move on to the forward position, and we have some big news. We have some big news, and the big news are that for this round, we will not suggest Vajankov for the first time. It is because it is uncertain if he will be on the squad for the game for Friday's game versus Panathinaikos. He's maybe injured or not. We're not gonna risk that. So for this reason, we do not suggest Vazankov, but we do suggest Will Clyburn from FS with 16.2 credits. I mean, Clyburn, what a season! If you see 19.3 points, 4.9 defensive rebounds, 1.3 offensive rebounds, 2.3 assists. I mean, this is like the old time classic Clyburn from Cheska Moscow. The pre-injuries, he is like one of the best forwards in the last years in EuroLeague. To be honest,
He's the best small forward, I think.
yeah, yeah.
I don't have a doubt around that. I think he added also some more stuff in his game. He is becoming deadly from 3-pointer.
Yeah, this
That's a late addition.
yeah, maybe he worked in the off season,
Yeah.
more on his shooting on 3 points, and Will Clyburn is now Larkin is back, but the first 15 rounds basically was Clyburn and Misic hand to hand, holding hand to hand and just leading FS. If you see versus Panathinaikos, he had 23 points, 10 rebounds, so a double double, and 27.5 fantasy points. How can you ignore that? How can you not take into consideration that to take Will Clyburn into your team?
Yeah, at the point he was non-stop on from 3-pointer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and I think in the local derby versus Fenerbahce for the Turkish league, he scored 39 points. I mean, you know, he
Crazy.
is unstoppable. He is unstoppable
Yeah.
this season. So for this reason, we suggest Will Clyburn versus Maccabi away, but still Clyburn has the quality, to lead again for FS.
Definitely.
Then another player we suggest is Nikola Mirotic with 15.1, 15.10 credits. Barcelona is playing versus Renas Zvezda, which is a tough game. Still, it is uncertain if Campazzo will make his EuroLeague debut with Renas Zvezda. But if you saw what Vildoza did versus Olympiacos, I mean, he gave 31.9, I think, fantasy points. So he was amazing again for another game. And it will be tough for Barcelona, and Mirotic has to step up from the game he had versus Valencia. He had 11 points and just one rebound, two assists, one steal, but only six fantasy points. This is not, the Nikola Mirotic we know fantasy ways. He can have six fantasy points in the first 3 minutes of a game easily or more. So I think Mirotic needs to bounce back from this game and be more productive for Barcelona as well in order to start getting another W.
I was just looking. He had
Mhm.
1 out of 8 3-point attempts versus Valencia, so he couldn't really buy a basket.
Yeah, he was like, if you see, he has 11 points. So I mean, usually if you see, he has 14 versus Panathinaikos, but still he is not that he's making his shots. But versus Valencia, for some reason, he could not, as you said, buy a basket.
And we talked about his minutes. Last week we were saying that we don't know if there is a time management. Definitely is load management for him, because in Spanish league he had like 20 to 22 average minutes, and the same in the Euroleague. In this game, he actually played 30 minutes, if I remember correctly. Let me just check. Yeah, he did play for 30 minutes. So um, if they need him to win, and that's we know how difficult is Cervena Zvezda, Ivanovic Cervena Zvezda team. Probably they will need him on his best again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He needs to be the all-time good Mirotic for Barcelona to win that game. Then another choice from the top tier market is Janan Musa for 13 credits. I mean, Bill said earlier about what he did versus Asvel. If you see 15 points, 4 assists, two assists, sorry, 4 rebounds, 20.9 fantasy points. I mean, if you see from round 11, and then he is that before he was playing in in a very high level as well. Look, 35.2 versus Valencia. He is very, very mature. He is the player who is doing a bit of everything for Real Madrid. So as Bill said, he can handle the ball, bring the ball down for, and also be the main scoring option for part of the game for Real Madrid. Um, Versus Basconia. Basconia is at home they score like crazy. They're maybe the best offensive team at home in Euroleague, but Musa will have his chance, to show again his skills and score double digits again.
All right. So what's next?
Then the fourth option we have from top tier market is Kevin Punter with 12.5 points. Partizan is playing versus Bayern, and if you see the last two games after Asvel versus FS, 28.6 fantasy points, and versus Fenerbahce 18.7 fantasy points with just 12 points, but also has 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. I mean, Pander is, we know Pander as a main scorer on the team he's playing for, but if you see now, he's grabbing rebounds, so he's helping in other areas his team to get a W, which is very, very important. Also, versus FS, he scored, I think, the last two free throws, crucial free throws, if I'm not mistaken. So, for these reasons, for the fourth option from top tier market, we say Kevin Pander versus Bayern is a game that he can easily score more than 15 points. So let's go to the mid market options we have. And then the first option we have with 10.2 credits is Ulanovas from Žalgiris. I mean, Ulanovas, I think, is playing like the Ulanovas we knew before getting the transfer to Fenerbahce 2 years ago or 3 years ago. He is very, very mature. As Bill said, when Keenan Evans is not on the court, he is the leader of the team. He is helping the team both in any ways, both offensively and defensively. Defensively grabbing rebounds, as you see, and offensively he's scoring the last two games 19 and 18 points versus Real Madrid and Bayern, and giving 17.6 fantasy points. I mean, with 10.2 credits, Ulanovas, I think, is one of the best choices you can have versus Monaco. I think, yeah, versus Monaco. So Ulanovas is the first option, and the other is Pierre from Pierre from Fenerbahce. Pierre came back from his injury, and he had 17 fantasy points versus Basconia, 18 versus Partizan. He also had a very good game in the local derby versus Anadolu Efes for the Turkish league. So Pierre is showing that he is becoming one of the vital points for Fenerbahce, for in order for Fenerbahce to make the comeback, and start being on the winning days again. Um, if you see versus Partizan, he had 13 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. So again, maybe he's not scoring 15 or more points, but he's scoring 13 and also helping in other areas for Fenerbahce. So Pierre is the other choice we have for mid market, and for the deep value. Well, we yeah is you have to go 8 credits
Okay, yeah.
and then
So
go
this was
basically
second place.
second pay. Yes.
There we are.
So from the deep value with 7.1 credits is Aminois from Asvel. Yeah, after the buzzer beater versus Olympiacos, I think that was the boost he wanted, and then he exploded versus Real Madrid for 20 fantasy points, but 17.7 rebounds, 1 assist. I mean, this is what you want from your stretch forward, scoring and rebounding. So also he's getting the minutes. Like if you see versus Real, 28 minutes versus Olympiacos, only 17, but still he managed, to make to score the buzzer beater and give the W to Ashwell. So with 7.1 credits, Noah is an option that you only see, the positive side, and it it it's very difficult to go wrong.
Yeah,
Let's say,
with the current form, it seems like a good
yeah,
choice.
yeah,
If you
with the
can stick to this form, definitely with 7.1 only.
yeah. And the other choice is again a player from Basconia, and again, as Bill said, he is on form. So with 6.1 credits is Marinkovic. Uh, if you see, he's getting the minutes 23, 20, 26. Like he's getting the playing time from Penarroyo. And if you see versus Virtus, 22, he scored 22 points, and fantasy wise 22, but scoring 22 points versus a defensive minded team, it says a lot that he can be in the right spot and, make the basket. Versus Fenerbahce, he just had 5 points with 2 rebounds and 3 assists, but he gave 11 fantasy points. So with um, 6.1 credits, you see that you can get double digit fantasy points back. And that will help you if you want to build and spend more money, for example, on another position or the coach.
I mean, with in just three games for 4.9, he's now 6.1. So a huge valuation jump.
Yeah, yeah.
So quite nice.
I mean, the his performance on the court shows that rise on his credits. To be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. Let's see if you can keep it that way.
Yep. So
Cool.
that's it for the forward position. These are the choices. Again, you see we have maybe more sometimes on the top tier, but because the price and for the credits, I mean, of the players, all the prices are rising. So many players have now been on the top tier market. That's why we have more than 3 options.
So on the guards and on the top tier market, we have a player that he's on the ladder for the MVP of the December. However, he did broke our heart, as I tweeted. He only scored 7.7 fantasy points last week. Lorenzo Brown, but you can see his average 17.8 points, 3.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists. Okay, he does have some turnovers, but all in all, he's doing really well, and he gets almost 4 um, um, fouls. And we think. playing versus FS with the way that FS defense, I would say, is more free. Will probably have the ability to create for his teammates on his usual standards. You can see here, lately he's averaging around 7 assists. So he can definitely do that. Probably he will find some ways to the basket too. Um, so with that in mind, we think it's his chance for him to bounce back from the 7.7 and get back to one very good fantasy performance. Now, we it would be impossible not to mention again Evans after the latest performances. So we're very happy we had him, and he gave almost 43 points. So there is no reason for us to take him out. So um, he is the motor of Zalgiris, and Zalgiris will live and die with Evans, and for that reason, Evans is on our choices with 14.4 credits. Also another good valuation story, right? So you can see here he was on single digits. So the whole year till now, he's only increasing his value steadily from 8.7. He's now 13.4. So really, really great performance from Evans this year. Um, then the next option we had is not going to play. We were considering Chris Jones, but Chris Jones, unfortunately, he's gonna be cited because he still has um, pain on his knee. So Brew, the coach of Valencia, he let people know that he's not traveling, he's not playing. So for that reason, we have Okobo as our third option here. Um, Let me find him. So Okobo is 11.7. So we can see him here. You see 12 points averaging. We still have Lloyd out, and I think for at least 3 more weeks, if I'm correct, with a new shoulder injury. Really unlucky season for Lloyd, although he was quite well before his injury. He was playing impressive, I would say. So yeah, we have Okobo, and Okobo, as you can see, he had some low ones, but he has the ability to give big fantasy returns, as you can see, around 8 to 10 round, and on the 14th round. And for that reason, um, we think the matchup with Algiris is a good one, and probably he's gonna take on with scoring as well. And that concludes the top tier market. So I'm going to the mid market then, and we mentioned already when we're talking about Armani, Billy Baron. So um, Billy Baron is here, 9.7 credits. And as you can see, 13, 14, 15 rounds, 18, 19, and 23 points. He also had some rebounds. He has some assists, some steals, um, and he's playing more than 30 minutes. So a basic tool for Messina. And I mentioned earlier that he's shooting crazy. He has 50% on three-pointers on the Italian and on the Euroleague, so both leagues. So for that reason, um, we think that he will be probably able to keep on with his good form. Now, one choice that we haven't prepared, but I'm gonna just go with it just because we talked about Chris Jones. If you agree, Konstantinos, Harper is probably gonna take more time, and wherever Harper is getting more time, He's having very good performance, and you can see here when Valencia need him, he's coming up, giving assists, providing score, and his also valuation has jumped. So since Chris Jones have these on-offs and reduced minutes, he increased from 8.4, now he's at 9.4 credits, and he has given double-digit credit. So that's Harper there for Valencia. Um, then we have Walden, Corey Walden with 8.9 credits. He's coming from good scoring games, 18 points. He had also double digits on around 13, so he's on a good form. And Bayern will really need him to step up against Partizan in a very difficult home court if they want to have chances for a win. Finally, on this mid market, we have Madolo for Alba Berlin with 8.7 credits. He had two good games, so he seems that he's picking up now his form 14 and 16. He also did some assists. Okay, he had some turnovers as well, though, versus Monaco. And he seems like he's now getting the position of the main ball handler in the team, because you remember we had Blood that actually has started the season quite well, but now that Madolo is back and he started playing better, he's getting the more minutes. So that concludes the mid-market selection. So for the deep value selection then, we are going under 8 credits, and then at 7.2 we have Larenzakis. In the last two games, as you see, you haven't played well, but not well. He played well, but he hasn't done great in terms of fantasy. He's just had okay games. But you can see he can give double digits, and when you take a better look, it seems like he does this on all the big games, so versus Maccabi, versus Efes, versus Virtus, versus Fenerbahce,
versus
versus
Maccabi.
Partizan, yeah, versus Baskonia, Real, Zalgiris. So he's a player that loves to play under pressure and big games. So this is the classic Greek derby versus Panathinaikos out of home. So Larenzakis probably is gonna be pumped and ready for Olympiacos there.
He is the X factor for Olympiacos in the big games. The way they need him, he steps on the court and he produces, for Olympiacos and Coach Barjoka. So he will be, I think, the X factor again for Olympiacos versus Panathinaikos.
Exactly as you said, he plays the X factor. And I think at the start of the year, I think at the plans was Cannon to finish the games, but it seems like Larenzakis is doing that pretty much since the start, since he was doing very well and Cannon had a difficult time to adjust. So yeah, so that is Larenzakis then, and finally we have one legend here with 7.1 credits, Yule, Sergio Yule. He's first time selected this year from us. The reason being is he had a very good game in the Spanish league, and he also, as you can see, had a good 14.3 fantasy points on the previous game. So with just 7.1 credits, it's more of not a gamble, but yeah, you will need, you go after your chances, because if he plays big, he can give very big points. So there you go then. That's
And also it's versus Baskonia, so it's not a derby, Spanish derby, but they know each team knows the
yeah,
other team. So I think it will be a good game for Yul to showcase his talent and be that guy again scoring 3 points from long range.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, cool. So that concludes, I think, all our selections for this round. So we can move on then to our teams.
Mhm.
And here is the alley-oop dunks.
This is our main team that we have, and for round 15, we see we had 172.6 points and 1.3 credits. It was the capital we gained. Um, if you see, we chose Choose Mateo for our coach, and he gave us 20 points back. So again, it's very very important the coach that you choose. Sometimes you may select a player with cheaper credits and choose a coach that can give you a 20 or more points back. As you see, we also had Misic as our captain, and that gave us 52.8. As Bill said, we had Keenan Evans with 42.9. Yeah, Lorenzo Brown did not have the game we wanted, but that's one miss that we had. Also, Lesort 14.3
Mm,
credits. It's not the usual Lesort. The one we know for 18 or more fantasy points, and 18 for Vajankov is okayish, but
mm,
not the
it's not
Vajankov we know. The positive it was Lazarevich with 12.10. I mean,
big
and
12 points.
big 12 points in such a big game. No,
Yeah,
he played really really well with 8 points, 4 rebounds, as you see in total, one assist. So
yeah.
12.10, it's very very good.
Just
Uh,
for credits.
yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then Sorkin 3.3 because he was on the bench.
Yeah,
Uh, 6.6 total, but 3.3 because he's on the bench and we get the 50%. Schneider 1.5, again, 50%. And Naj and Lutz did not play at round 15. And for round 16 now, we, first of all, we changed the coach. So from Chus Mateo, we selected Sasa Obradovic from Monaco. They have a game versus Algiers, and we think that at home Monaco can get a W, and with a probably with a big difference, so it can give us 20 or more points. Um, then we brought Clyburn, as you see, and he's our captain because Vezenkov is not in our team. We do not want to risk it to have a player and then at the last moment do not play. And of course, we're talking about the player in the level of Vezenkov with all these credits. It will be big miss from us, and it will hurt our team. Then, if you see, we brought Brandon Davis instead of Nagy. Davis has all the potential to have a big game versus Valencia. Armani needs to get to the third win, so why not? Davis, I think Davis got the wake up call. Was the game that did not play at all. It was a wake up call from Messina to Davis, and so far Davis is responding. And last but not least, if you see, we kept Lesort. Lorenzo Brown, we gave him another chance, as Bill said, this versus FSO. You never know. Keenan Evans, of course, he's in the team, and we brought instead of Vasily Misic, we brought Luca Vildoza. The What can I say about Vildoza? He had an amazing game versus Olympiacos, but he is the Argentinian, magician. Of course, Campazzo is there now, but still he hasn't played. But look versus Olympiacos, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists. I mean, what more can you ask from your guard? Um, for this case versus Barcelona, we believe Vildoza will have another big game, and we kept Sorkin, Lazarevic, Schneider, and Ludzis as well for our rotation bench, basically.
yeah, yeah. Um, just wanted to add that Barca is actually playing very good defense
Mhm,
on guard, so it's gonna be a tough game. But if someone can do it, it should be Vildoza.
That's true. That's true.
Cool. Okay, so good luck to our team. And as you said, yeah, Brown is on a trial here. He really needs to deliver all the pressure on him. Um,
Yeah, maybe also Baldwin is back, so we'll see. Otherwise, he will be again the main guard for Maccabi versus Anadolu Efes.
mhm. Okay, so I'm moving then to our second team, the development team, the G League team, um, or deep value as we call it. So as you can see, lost some credits and only a very mediocre, I would say, bad round, less than 120 points, and that's because both Barcelona stars here, Vesely Mirotic, did not play well. You know, we brought Vesely for the round before, and he did very well, give us 24 points, if I remember correct. Um, so we did keep him, but then, you know, um, not very happy with that. Musa, he was well. We talked about it. He was quite good. The big win for us in this round was Dobrich with 6.1 credits only. He gave 14.3 big points. James, similar situation, I think, with Vezenkov. 17 points is okay. Is probably we would expect quite better for James. And then Sigma, just 11 points, not great either. So also I think Sigma is not playing next round, right? Is that correct?
Well, he's having an illness, so he did not play in the local game for the German league, but they do
He may
expect
play.
him back.
Mm,
Yes, for us. So
okay.
it's 50-50 so far.
Yeah, so with that in mind, we took him off, but you know, you can still risk it because he may play. But we took him on and replaced it with Pierre, that he's on form, and then we took off Vesely, that we were not happy with his performance, and we put on Motley. As I said, these are our, you know, development team, so we have to test a player here, right? So that's what we do with Motley, and then our third change was Sedekerskis coming in for Webb. He's also in a good form, so hope he continues that way. And coach of our team is Zelimir Obradovic for Max Vitis, and that's almost exactly our credits. And as you can see, we still have Musa as our captain, but then for the second round, we have the options of Pierre, Motley, and Mirotic if we need them.
Mhm, mhm. I think
And
it's yes, it's a good deep value team. You know, you see many, let's say, talents like Padilla, Sedekerskis, Dobrich. They are, you know, young players, but they are very, very crucial for their teams.
yes, so let's see how we go. You know, we would like to bounce as good as we can with alley-oop dunks, and for this deep value, as I said, is more of a test. So we're just having fun on this one. Really, we're not really competing, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's just like, let's say, our test squad. We just, test the players. Okay, they're good. Okay, they can move to the main team, because we have also the rule that we cannot have the same player in both teams. So that's why you see different names in our teams.
Exactly. Um, Cool. And I think with that, we can wish you all a happy new year. If you like our video, give us a like, a comment, and subscribe. And you can see all our updates on Twitter as well.
Yes, and also yes for me. Happy New Year! Enjoy this round of EuroLeague with some big games. Especially is the the Greek derby, Panathinaikos versus Olympiacos. So we hope that you enjoy this round as well from EuroLeague. You can please select wisely the players you want, and yes, you can follow us on Twitter for any latest update regarding player injury, player status, or transfer news. And see you in the next episode.
See you. Thank you for watching. Bye,
Thanks
guys.
for watching. Bye, guys.